for Ocean State Paracon, definitely get in touch with Rise Up Paranormal, Ken DaCosta. You can actually find him on Facebook as well. I think be a vendor, or you can come down and see all the awesome folks that are going to be there.
Our guests included.
Yeah, including our guests. Yeah. So,
yes, we are going to be selling and signing. No radio show this year because we've got too much on our plate, so we kind of went on a open-ended hiatus from radio shows. But we will be selling and signing our books, and talking to people, and it'll be a great time.
Regarding your book, would you be willing to share maybe one of your stories that you have in there?
Sure. I'll
kind of give them a teaser.
Sure. I'll share mine only because I wrote it, so it just, I know most of it, even though I actually stared at the book for like 6 weeks editing it, and I probably can recite the entire book from front to back to you. It was, and like I said, the one thing that I like about my story is that it's not what you would expect out of something in the Gettysburg area, something as an attachment. And like I said, I call it an entity because not only after, and I mean, we did everything what we thought, what we've been trained to do over the years as far as before we go into any home. We say protection prayers. We do rituals leading up to it as far as cleansing baths. When we kind of have the pre-notion that it's going to be possibly an attachment or a negative case, we'll take these extra steps. And, we thought we did everything right. We went in, we got the evidence, we cleansed the client's home, and I was probably home a couple of weeks and started waking up to scratches on my face, which I kind of laughed off, and until they were more and more and more, and they were all over my face, all over my neck. I was calling Michelle up hysterical, going, what the hell's going on? And Michelle's like, I don't know, Bridge. And I kept on sending pictures of it. Then things started happening in my house. Finn had a candle fly across the room in his peripheral vision. My son had something sitting on his bed. My other son had something thrown across in his room. So there was, I know a lot of people laugh when I say this word, poltergeistic activity going on in my home. And in the meantime, then it started attacking me in bed at night. And, I really didn't, it happened to me in 2013. I really didn't start talking about the story until now. It's not something you go around telling people every day. And for the most part, because people don't believe you, but there were so many witnesses to it. I referred, with John Zappis' case manager at the time on the case, to help me personally. And basically this went on with me for 2 months before I said, this is happening and I'm not crazy, and my family members were going, yes, this is happening. And what put me over the edge was I woke up with a 1-inch scratch from, I would say, maybe my lower back all the way down my butt cheek, all the way down my leg to my ankle. And it was all dried blood, and I was wearing sweatpants. And how the hell did that happen to me in the middle of the night, So that and in that same night, whatever was in my house actually woke me up and spoke to me. And this is the most bizarre thing because, I'm of a scientific mind. It spoke to me. It said to me, I am, and then it said its name, and I am him. And to this day, I can't remember its name. But I was wide awake. I wasn't being frozen in bed and attacked. I was always awake through all these attacks. And it just got to the point where, I put up with it for a couple of months, and then I said, something's going on here, and this is not normal. And, even at points my husband was going, well, what the hell is going on, and we realized that what we thought was possibly, maybe a spirit presenting itself, representing itself as something else to the client, thought it was maybe a negative spirit or something. We never at the time realized that it was as bad as an entity as we thought it was, but it wound up being, and the girls helped me cleanse my house, and, thank God, knock on wood, to this day I have had no reoccurrences of it in 2 years, but that was truly scary because it was happening in my home to me, and also my children were being affected. So it was a very scary instance. Like I said, not something that you go out and you talk to everybody about, you know what I mean? So when we decided to do the book and choose the different cases, I said, well, maybe it's time that I tell and I share my story. So I decided to share my story, and ever since then I get people that come up to me and say, oh, my God, I had something very similar happen, or I had something like that, So, but that is my story in the book, is that case and what happened to me at my home.
Wow. That must have been very therapeutic to write it all down and get that out, and just sharing it with the world, because I couldn't imagine going through all that.
I think I'd be. Go ahead.
You're sitting in bed, and like I describe in the book, I would feel its hand slowly, because I'm usually a stomach sleeper. I would feel it coming up the back of my leg, and when it first started happening, I thought, oh, is there like a stink bug under the bed sheet or something? You know what I mean? That flew in and got, that's what I thought at first, and then when I brushed my legs and I, cleared the bed out and I tried to go back to sleep, it happened again. And I'm conscious of this. It at one point actually physically smacked me while I was wearing a pair of shorts on the side of my hip, and it smacked me so hard that it left a red welt on my hip. So I mean, you don't think that these things can happen, and you tell people who are non-believers and you laugh it off, but I know I lived this for 2 to 3 months out of my life. I know what happened to me. People can make fun of it. They can say what they want, but, to back my proof up, I mean, I have so many witnesses to the case that, but it's a scary ordeal. And like I said, we've been to, it's probably in the thousands between actual private client cases, historical locations, the different events we do with Ideal and everything. We've been to thousands of places, and never has this happened. And this is the one time that it's happened to me, knock on wood, hopefully never again. But it's a scary thing when it happens in your own home, and you're in denial because you're a paranormal investigator. You're like, no, this can't be happening. There's got to be an explanation. And like I said, I'm scientific. There's got to be an explanation. So, I mean, once I started looking like my husband was beating me up or something, I started to go, there's something going on here. And then, like I said, it escalated from that to the actual attacks when I would get into bed, and that was scary. That was scary. And it would always be when my husband was sleeping. It would never be when my husband was conscious, It was very strange. So, but thank God we were able to cleanse the house, cleanse me personally, and I've never had to deal with it again, thank God, and hopefully I never will.
Yeah, wow.
I can't imagine. Yeah. I mean, I've always said, I wouldn't mind things happening to me or around me, but when that's going after my children, that's where I would draw. I would be.
Yeah. Yeah, like Michelle always teases me and says, hey, Bridget's the kind of girl who at an investigation doesn't mind getting her hair pulled or her face smacked, And I don't. Those things don't scare me. But when it's in your own home and it keeps on happening and you're realizing this thing is is manifesting inside your home and affecting the other people that you live with, especially your children. And it never harmed my children. But the fact that it was physically able to pick things up and project them across the room, that was very scary. And like I said, once these things, and like I said, it started off slowly. So I shrugged it off. It's a scratch. Even though in all my 45 years of life, I've never scratched my face that much. There was still maybe I scratched my face. And you could shove it off a little. But then when it increased in frequency, and then, absolutely once it started grabbing at my legs and attacking me physically when I would go to sleep in my own bed, then I knew that this was not my imagination. I was not dreaming this. And I believe it not to be a spirit. I believe it not to be a ghost. I believe it to be a dark entity, or, I would never write or say this because I don't have absolute proof, but could have been some type of lower demon, an incubus, who knows what it could have been. I was always conscious when it was happening, and I was able to stop the attack. You know what I mean? But the clients experienced a very similar thing. It's pulling at her legs, and she would wake up and go, what the hell is going on? But she never got attacked, scratches, or anything like that. But she felt it pulling at her legs. And, at the time we weren't sure because, you have to find out your own evidence and draw your own conclusions based upon your investigation and your interview. And so anything could have been possible. But at the time at our house, it didn't seem to us like it was this very mean, dark entity. But once I got home to my home and it started happening to me, I realized that this thing was masquerading itself and presenting itself to the client as like a young soldier boy or a young spirit. Like I said, it's when it's manifesting in your own home, it's a completely different ballgame, And like I said, for all the... Go ahead. Sorry, Naomi.
Oh, no, you finish what you're saying.
Yeah, no. So for all, like I said, all the naysayers, that could never happen. Yeah, it can. I'm living, breathing proof, and I've got a family full of witnesses who are not paranormal people. Who, my husband's always making jokes about the paranormal, doesn't believe in it, but my husband knows absolutely what happened to me, and Michelle and members of her family were witnesses also to the occurrences. So, but you live and you learn, and maybe it was useful to me in my paranormal investigating. It's something now I know to look for certain telltale signs now, or it's another case where never be in doubt of what a client tells you. If you go, if the client may seem a little bit off, they might not be off. They might be seriously being afflicted by something, and don't ever make a rush to judgment. That's probably a big one I learned from that case.
You still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay. It got really quiet. We're like, oh no, we gotta go.
Awkward silence.
Now, with this happening to you, and in that moment of that time frame you were going through it, did it ever make you think maybe I should not be doing the paranormal anymore? Did it make you?
Nope, not for a second. Not for a second. I will, I don't know, maybe I take after my grandmother. I'm a tough Irish bird. Nothing will ever scare me. Nothing will ever stop me from doing anything I want to do. I'm a go-getter. I don't stop until I'm dead or bleeding till I can't move. So no, not ever once. Ever once. If anything, it got me angry. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
I did feel helpless for a time. I was scared. I was scared bad. At the time I called up John's assistant, and I literally called her, and I was hysterically crying on the phone. I said, when I woke up with that scratch, and it was like something had one thick, like fingernail, like really thick and wide. and it was so far down my leg. There's nothing that could have done that to me in my sleep, and leave dried, caked up blood all the way down from my lower back to